Hello, hello. Welcome to Crafty Chemist Designs. How you doing today? Today we're going to be making some fun fold cards, showing this gorgeous paper. I'm so excited about this. Let me share the live to the group. And while you're waiting, let me know what you're up to today. I have been busy. I'm getting ready to leave for England tomorrow, so I've been just doing a lot of last minute things I need to get done. Hey, Mom. So I've been doing some things that I just have kind of put off, but that I needed to do before I left. I had to order some things for at work because the budget year is ending June 30th, so we needed to spend out the budget, so I've been really working on that. I had to send out student award checks for my Women in Chemistry group, so I got those mailed out. I should have mailed them out, earlier in the month, maybe last month. But I've just been so busy. So I got those out before I left, so the students got their awards. There were 5 student awards. 2 of them were for $2,000 and 3 of them were for $1,000. So I'm gonna plug my Iota Small Pie Women in Chemistry group for handing out awards for female students in chemistry. Hi, Darlene. From Grand Rivers, Kentucky. Is that by Cincinnati at all? I mean, I know Cincinnati's not in Kentucky, but it's right on the border, right? Welcome, welcome, welcome. So today we're going to make these fun fold cards, and I'm really excited about them. These are just a few. I've actually got another one. So we'll see what we can get done in our time allotted. Hey Vicki, how you doing? I got all packed up. I'm working on my electronics right now. I'm charging up my earbuds, charging up my iPad, those sorts of things for the flight. Getting everything packed, making sure I have my adapters and such. So that's the only thing I have left to do. Everything else is kind of packed, although I'm contemplating taking out my pair of shorts because it seems like, I don't know, in the 70s I might not be wearing shorts as a high, so I don't know. Okay, you guys aren't here to hear about my packing. Yeah, I got like 3 converters actually. But speaking of the packing, you guys, the next 3 lives will be live. 1 from England and 2 from Scotland. So the next 3 Sundays I will be live from abroad. So I'm really excited. I have taken up, I don't know, maybe a quarter of my suitcase with supplies for lives on the road, and a good amount of the weight. And I'm committed, guys. I'm committed to continuing my lives while I'm gone. They'll still be at the same time. I'll just be doing them at like 10 p.m. there. And I think, gosh, I didn't even check, but I think Scotland's the same as London. So yeah, 6 p.m. or it'll be 10 p.m. there. So, okay, let's get started for today. I am going to be creating these cards. And how did this come about? Well, when Close to My Heart announced that they were closing and giving us the opportunity to transition over to Stampin' Up!, I wasn't sure that I was going to do that because I hadn't really ever used Stampin' Up! Products. So I didn't know what the quality was like. So what I did is I just ordered some random things from the website, things that I like the looks of, that I would use, you know, even if I didn't transition to Stampin' Up. So the 12 by 12 suite that I bought was the perennial lavender, and I've already done, that was my first, my May collection of the month was a perennial lavender. So that was my 12 by 12 paper that I got. I wanted to try the 6 by 6 paper, and this caught my eye, this Meandering Meadows. I thought this paper is gorgeous, and close to my heart, never had paper like this. This was something that I felt was totally different, and I thought was beautiful. Has anybody purchased any of this kind of paper from Stampin' Up? I mean, I've had some of this, not from Stampin' Up, but from like Disney, for my Disney scrapbooks. You know, you'll get a 12 by 12 sheet, and it's got like the whole castle on it. And you're like, how can I put pictures on this page because it's going to cover up the castle? Well, I started to feel kind of like that. I'm like, how can I use this on my cards and things without kind of ruining the beauty of it? So I came up with some ideas where I really maximized the use of the paper. Okay, I did search through Pinterest and YouTube and found some of these ideas. So thanks to the creators who, you know, have made similar things. So I use those as guidance. So this is the Meandering Meadows. It is still available. Let's see. So I dropped a link. It is still available. I really love it. Let me show you what the papers are like. So this one's gorgeous, and you can see this one I used here. And then the back side of it is gorgeous too. This reminds me of like a Monet painting. Here's ones. And this is I used on this page here. And then the back is this beautiful cloud, which this can be used for a lot of things, like scrapbook pages if you want to make a cloud background or something. So I really like this. This one's gorgeous. I mean, like, every one is more gorgeous than the next. I don't know. This is gorgeous. I'm hoping this is what Scotland looks like, because I'm planning on using a lot of these on my Scotland album. And then the back is another cloud. This one reminds me of the Sistine Chapel. I might use this in my Sistine Chapel layout, because this looks like the background to me of the Sistine Chapel. This one's gorgeous. I love this color. And that's another thing. I think the colors of these is amazing. Isn't that amazing? And then this is just kind of a funky background. This one, this path, and I think I used that one. No, no, I didn't use that. Maybe I'm going to use this today. This one is a back. It's kind of like mossy green. I really like this one. It's kind of marble-y looking. This is nice. I love it. The back is kind of a dark green. I love this crushed curry with the sky. Now this one I didn't use at all so far, so nice green. Another thing that I really like about this is, yes, the front side is totally not busy, but you know, it's the pictures on the whole front of the paper, but then the back is just basically neutral, and you can use it, you know, for a lot of things. Hi, Julie. This one, I love this path, and this is the one geez, I keep thinking I use these ones, but maybe these are the ones I'm planning on using. Another green marble. This one. Beautiful. And I like this one. This was a wood grain on the back. So it's got some really nice picture on the front and then a very neutral thing on the back. So you can use them together. And then this one's pretty with the flowers. So very nice. You get 4 of each one. So I also like that. You get 4. There's another thing in the catalog that's very similar. It's called Thoughtful Journey. So you see these papers, they're very similar. So these are 6x6 papers. So very similar to this. It's a little more watercolory than Meandering Meadows. But this is another one, and you can see what they've done with some of the cards. And I like this. There's this like ombre paper. It's called Thoughtful Designs, and it's 12 by 12, and it's kind of got some ombre. So that's really pretty. I didn't purchase this one yet, but I am going to purchase this. Okay, there's the link for the Thoughtful Journey paper. So you could do the same thing with that paper as you do with this. But actually, you can do this technique with any paper, any beautiful paper, right? These are just fun fold designs, so it doesn't have to be, but it really maximizes the effect of these papers. Okay? So let's get started. I thought we'd start with this one because I think people will want to make this one most. And so we're going to see how many we can get done in our time. Let me know if anybody has any of these papers, this one or the Thoughtful Journey. So, I thought, I don't know, let's do this one. I've got a lot of these set out. Another thing that I really like about Stampin' Up! That they didn't have with Close to My Heart was the 8.5 by 11 paper. So with 8.5 by 11 paper, if you just cut it in half, you've got 2 card bases, right? 2 card bases. This is called Balmy Blue. Balmy Blue. So I really love this color. But I tried to pick colors that went with the papers. So you cut 1 sheet of your 8.5 by 11, and you got two card bases. And you don't waste any, right? With the 12 by 12, you're going to, lose some of that paper. So this one, I start with a 5.5 sheet like this. Half. So it's 5.5 wide or tall, depending on how you're looking at it. And then 8.5 tall. So it's 5.5 by 8.5 paper. It's just 1 sheet of 8.5 by 11 cut in half. Okay, that's all that this card base is. Okay. And then the Stampin' Up! Paper is the same color on both sides, so you don't have to worry about which way you have it. So how do we make this one? It's really super easy. You just fold it in half. Fold it in half. Okay. So this one we fold it in half like this. And then you just fold the top part back. I hope some of you are crafting along because I want to see what you come up with for these, because like I said, this is good for any kind of paper. It doesn't have to be this full print, these full print designs, but I think that these designs help really expose the beauty of this paper. Okay, so now let's look at the pattern paper. So this pattern paper is 2 inches by 5 1/4. Okay, and you need 3 of them. So you can see 2, 4, 6. It's using the whole piece of this. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is cut it at 5 1/4. Now, depending on what paper you're using, you know, you might cut it off the top, you might cut it off the bottom, and sometimes I even cut a little bit off the bottom and a little bit off the top if I want to center some design. Okay, so this one, I'm probably going to cut it off of the bottom. It's only 3/4 of an inch that we need to cut off the bottom. Like this one, I probably would cut some off of the top. So it's just going to depend on what your paper looks like. Okay, so let's cut this at 5 1/4. So you have this little piece. You can use this elsewhere, so I am going to keep this. And then cut it into 2-inch pieces. And if you're using papers like Meandering Meadow, you want to keep the 2 inches in the same order so that you don't lose the seam, right? If you're just using random paper, you might not have to be so careful. Okay, but see, when you open this up, you want it to be, you want like this tree to be whole, so I'm not going to, you know, mix these up. It won't look right. Okay, so now all we have to do is put them on. Oh, I like the back of this paper. Look, it's like a dark blue. So you want the leftmost side of that paper to be obviously on the part that flips back. I didn't center that very well because I was talking. Let me center it a little bit better. There we go. Okay, and then this one's going to go on the inside. Here. And when you do this, you kind of want to try and, you know, line up the top edges and the bottom edges. And just make sure you're not going over the folds, which I did not. And then we'll put this one here. And so this one I'm going to put just to the right of the fold, the score mark, and try and keep them lined up. There you go. Okay, so now you can kind of see that whole sheet. It really preserves the integrity of the design of the paper. Okay, so now you could just stamp right on this part because this balmy blue is light enough. This one, which I believe is garden green, was a little bit dark to stamp on. So I stamped on white. So I've actually already stamped a few of these images. I have some close to my heart stamp sets that are for like slimline cards, which makes really good sentiments here for this type of card. This is called Slimline Thoughts. And so they've got some vertical ones. It says a very big thanks. One day a year isn't enough to celebrate you. We may live far apart, but always in my heart. Thank you. And then some things are better with age. And then on the back side is the horizontal ones. So I really like this stamp set. This is one that I'm probably not going to be getting rid of, as I am selling off my Close to My Heart stash. But I won't be selling this because I like these. And then this one is called Slimline Sentiments. Thinking of You Lots and Lots. And that's the one that I used here. And then, so there's one vertical and one horizontal one. So these two are things that I recommend. But you can use any, you could just put a sentiment here, you know, like with sympathy or happy birthday or whatever you want, and then sign it down here. It doesn't have to be the slimline. Does anybody have this stamp set or ones like this? Okay, I'm going to put this one on here. And this is cut the same. It's 2 inches by 5 1/4. Okay. And like I said, depending on the color of your base, you may or may not need to put it on white, but I will. Okay, there we go. That's the first fun fold card. Hi, you don't, Darlene? Well, like I said, even if you don't have ones like this, you can use a regular sentiment. I was going through my stamps to see, and there seems to be a lot of Christmas sentiments that have like a longer sentiment. Those ones I thought would be good. Maybe not with this paper, but if you did this card design like for Christmas, there are a lot of sentiments that would be good here. Okay, so this is just a fun fold. It's a really easy fun fold because all you have to do is, it's a regular card. You're just folding the front side back, okay? But don't you love how you really can still see all of the design on that? I know, look how fast that was. That's why I thought we could do a few. But it looks impactful, right? And I didn't do anything on this, right? It's all paper. The paper is doing all of the work. And that's what I love about this type of paper. Although you can see in the catalog, this came off, sorry. You can see in the catalog for the Thoughtful Journey that some of these cards, they added some embellishments, like some of the stamp sets. Trying to see which one they added, but I don't, because this is on top. So you can add things on top of it to make it look, you know, nicer. Like here they added some flowers. I don't know if you can see, but they added some of the die cuts on. So you can do that, right? You could I could stamp this and put it on the front. I mean, so you could kick this up if you wanted to, but you don't have to. I think this is perfectly fine as it is. Now, the only thing is, I know some people might not like that it doesn't stay closed. But once you put it in the envelope and they pull it out, it'll be fine. And then they could stand it up on their mantle, right? You can stand this up on your mantle and they can look at it. I keep cards like this in my office on the shelf of my desk, you know, so I can look at them. Ones that people send me, that's, you know, that stand up or whatever. Okay, so that's the first one, and it's so fast, so easy. I could put some gems or something on it, but again, I don't think you need to. Yeah, okay, so let's do another one. I want to try this one. Okay, let's see, I had some of this worked out. Because I wanted to show you something that I thought was interesting. This is the same paper. And on one I put it landscape, and on this one I put it portrait. So you get a little bit of a different look. You know, so I think it's kind of fun. And so you really need to find one. So okay, let's do this one. I think I'm going to do this one. because I think it would make a good, right, it would look good horizontally, but I also think that I can make it look good, you know, vertically also, okay? So we'll make these two, okay? And I'm going to use this one, beautiful path, and I decided to use garden green because it goes with this. But look at this one. I love how this, let me see what color that is. I haven't learned all the color names yet. I'm getting better, but I think this is one of the Regals. Let's see. The in colors. Okay, here's the Regal. Okay, here we go. Oh, cherry cobbler. Of course, cherry cobbler. I love how the cherry cobbler really shows the flowers, right? It just brings those flowers out. So I'm really loving this card bases that are colored paper, because what's close to my heart, all of my cards basically, for the most part, were the white bases. I might put a full design paper on the front, but the insides usually were white. So I'm really loving these. Okay, so let's make these, and I'm going to use the green, garden green. Okay. Okay, so this one, again, the papers or the bases are both 5.5. So 5.5 this way, and well, this one is 7.5. So I did cut this one a little bit shorter, and the reason why is because it doesn't close all the way. So the top is a little bit shorter than the bottom, and that's kind of what makes it, I don't know, I'm calling it a fun fold, but it's a fun fold because it's a little bit different, right? So let's use, both of these are 7.5. Okay, so let's cut both of these 7.5. So again, this is garden green. You could make this, you know, a full-size front if you really wanted to. But I like the fact that you've got that little peekaboo coming out from the bottom of the card, or the side of the card, as the case may be. Okay, so we've got our two card bases ready. Now, this one, this piece on top is 5 1/4. So we're leaving, you know, a 1/4 inch. By 3, so 3 by 5 1/4. And when you cut this, you want to make sure that you know, are cutting the part that you want to be featured. Okay, so for instance, you know, I want to show both of these trees, so I'm probably going to cut the top of it. If you wanted to feature the path, then you could cut, you know, this bottom part. So let me get my cutter. So I'm going to cut it at 3 inches. And then it needs to be 5 1/4. So we need to cut off 3/4 of an inch. Let's see. I'm going to try and cut a little bit off of here. So this is a case where I'm going to take a little bit off of one side and a little bit off of the other side and see how it comes out. So I think I'm going to do a 1/4 inch here and a 1/2 inch on this side. Okay. Okay, so that's 5 1/4. Good. And now this piece at the bottom is 5 1/4 wide and 1 1/2 tall. This one you could make it any size, but you should at least make it enough that it's going to be, the edge of it's going to be hidden once you flip it down, right? So you can make it, I wouldn't make it shorter than 1.5 inches, but you could make it taller if you wanted it to go up farther. But this leaves a nice space for either stamping a sentiment or writing something on the card. Okay, so I'm going to take the remaining of this and cut it at 1.5. And I'm going to cut this part that was right underneath it to try and preserve the path. See how the path goes like this? Okay, and then to make the path, let's see, to make the path be the same, I'm going to cut, let's see, a quarter inch off of this side and a 1/2 inch off of this side. Let's see. Okay, so we're almost there. I do have a piece of white cardstock that is 4 inches by 5 1/4 that I'm going to line the inside of my card with. Okay, so let's take our card base and fold it in half. Oh, no, you don't want to fold it in half. You want to fold it, let's score it before we'll do that. We're going to score it at 3 1/4. Okay, what I love about the Stampin' Up! Trimmer and this Close to My Heart trimmer is that this is the cutting blade, but then this is the scoring blade, so you don't have to change blades or anything. So I'm going to score this at 3 1/4. Just make sure you use the right blade. Okay, 3 1/4. Okay, and now fold it along the score. So you can see it's a little bit shorter. It's not cut in half. Okay, and then let's just put this on the inside. Again, this was 4 by 5 1/4. I'm doing the whole inside with the white, but I guess you could make it, since this was, what did I say, 4? Since this was 4, and then this piece is 1 1/2, you could, you could just cut it, what would that be? 2 1/2 if you want to, but I'm just going to overlap it. Okay. So then, since I have this out, why don't we're going to attach this to the bottom of the card over top of the white inside. Okay. And this is, if you're using paper that is not this all over print design or whatever, if you're just using a regular type of paper, you might want to put the front side on the top and then reverse it and do the back side on the bottom to give it a little bit of contrast. I think that would be pretty. Okay, so it doesn't have to be the same. In fact, if you're going to the trouble of cutting this so that, part of it shows, you want it to contrast. So that's what I would do. If I was using just regular two-sided paper, I would contrast on the bottom from what's on the top. Okay, and then let's add this one. Okay, there we go. So it kind of looks like the path is continuing, right? So I really like this. And then on this one, I did add a sentiment. And I really like this hello. This hello is from the Hills of Tuscany set, this little hello here. This one, I don't think it's available right now. It was in the last catalog. It may come back later as online only, but right now I don't think it's available. But you can have any sort of small sentiment like that. And I have them cut because like I was planning on doing this in England, so I had all of these pieces ready. But then the that travel journal kit came out this month. That's the July, one of the July kits. And I said, I'm going to do that on my trip instead. So, okay, so I flagged, or, you know, dovetailed the ends. You could leave this off, you know, you can use something else, but I liked it. Okay. And I'm probably going to put this one over here because I don't want to cover up the path. But you want to put the top down before you put this on so that you can center it, because if you just, you know, if you try to center it on this 1.5 inches, some of it's going to be covered up when the top part comes down. So put the top part down and then put this on. Okay. So I'm going to center it between the top, where this ends and where, you know, this ends. So I centered it there. Look at that. Look at that gorgeous color. And so you're taking advantage of the beauty of the paper. Okay. So I really love that one. Another thing you could use, I did cut some that said happy birthday. So you could use a happy birthday on this. I wouldn't on this one maybe because it probably would, well, you could probably dovetail it so it doesn't cover that up. This particular one I think would be a good masculine card. So happy birthday. This is from the Simply Said. I bought this stamp set. It's I bought it in my starter kit because it has all of these sentiments. So it's a really good basic stamp set to have because I didn't have a lot of Stampin' Up! Sentiments. So this has thank you, hello, just a note, birthday, thanks, happy birthday. You know, it's got a lot of variety of things, and it's called Simply Said. So I really like this one. Okay, there's a link to that. Okay, so this is the first one. You could add some gems or sparkles if you want to. Let's do the next one. Let's do this, the same paper. We're going to use the same paper, but make it vertical. Okay, so we're going to do this one. Okay, so for this one, the card base is similar. It's 5.5 wide by 7.5 again. So let's cut this. Oh, I think I already cut this one to 7.5. Let's check. Yeah, okay, I already cut it. But now we need to score it at 3.25. So let's score it at 3.25. See, I almost used my cutter blade. The gray one is a cutter. You want to use the white one. There we go. Okay. Okay. So now 3 1/4, let's fold this along the score line. These are just some really easy card designs that you could make if you don't have any crafting mojo, if you want to feature your paper, or you just want to make fast cards. Have you ever like been having to leave in 10 minutes to go to a birthday party and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have an appropriate card? Bam, this will be done in a couple minutes. Okay, so let's cut this first piece. The piece that's on the top is 3 inches by 5 1/4. So this one, I want to have this be on the front. So I'm going to cut this at 3 inches to maximize this tree and path. And then 5 1/4, cut the bottom of the path off. There we go. But again, save this. So that's for the top. And now the inside is The inside is 1 1/2 by 5 1/4. Okay, so I think I'm going to do this side and cut 1 1/2 and then cut it down to 5 1/4. Now again, if you're using just regular two-sided paper, this is where you might want to, use the reverse side. Do the, the hero side on the top and then the reverse side on the back. Or, the side here. Okay, so let's attach this to the front. Okay, and I'm going to center it in there. Got a nice 1/8 of an inch all the way around. Okay, now again, like this one, I'm going to put a piece of white cardstock in this inside. 4 by 5 1/4. For most of the Stampin' Up! Cards, you're going to want to add, a white panel inside so that you're able to stamp and write on it, because most of the paper is, dark or doesn't show the stamp very well. So you can just cut a whole bunch of these and have these handy for whenever you're making cards. I've actually heard of people take a pack of the basic white cardstock and take it to Home Depot, and they will chop it for you for a very small amount of money, and then it's just, you have a stack ready. I haven't done that yet, but I might look into that. Okay, now we're just going to attach this, and I'm going to attach it to the right side. There you go. So it looks like this paper is continuing on, doesn't it? Because it really does. And then there's a tree kind of behind it. I love it. Okay, so for this one, I did Wishing You Peace. I think I'm going to do another hello, because I feel like if I did a Wishing You Peace, which is part of this Hills of Tuscany, Wishing You Peace, it would cover up the path too much. So I'm going to do another hello. Now this one, this one, I don't know if you can see, but I did mount it and popped it up. So let's use some of this green, the garden green that we cut off from, this 1 inch here. And the mat on this one is 1 inch on this one is 2 1/4, but I'll probably make it for the hello, maybe 1 1/4. So let's cut this up. You don't have to mount it, you know, mat it. I just thought it added a little bit. Okay, and then this one, I'm going to cut it to 1 inch. I am going to try and use my cutter so that it's even. Okay. Okay, so let's add this. Okay, and then I'm going to pop it up on some dimensionals. Using my Stampin' Dimensionals. You don't have to, you could adhere it right down, but just showing you a couple different ways. And I'm going to put it over here again to minimize covering up that path because I really like the path. So there you go. Another thing that this does is it adds a little bit of weight to the front so that the top doesn't, you know, open up as much. It will be less as you work it. So there you go. So you could stamp a sentiment or you could just write inside. This is another easy card. Hi Diana, we're making easy fun fold cards. I don't know if you saw the first one we made, was this one. And then this one, we did this 2 ways. We did it horizontally and we did it vertically with the same paper. So this is the same sheet of paper. It looks similar, but it also looks different, right? I really like it. And again, all the paper is doing all the work. You don't have to do anything. Okay, and let's see. The last one that I have is this one. This one is just a double gatefold card. But what's different is you put on the inside of the gatefold, you put the two pieces in here. So it's like you're extending this paper. This one, you do need more than one sheet because these are each 2 inches. And so it's, 8 inches. So you need at least 2 if you're using, this. I think this one, I'm going to use this paper. I don't know because I really wanted to use this, this blueberry bushel. What do you think? Should we do this one? This will look good. Because this is the one we just used, right? Yeah, I think this is the paper. Oh no, that's a little bit different because it doesn't have the path. We could use this one too, but I want to use this blueberry bushel. The other option was peach pie. What do you guys think? Well, it's hard to tell, but the peach is pretty on here. But I love this blueberry bushel paper, so I'm going to use this one. Okay, so let's make this one. And again, you're going to need, if you're using this pack, you're going to need 1 more of these. Oh, I think that peach was for this one. That peach was for this one. Like I said, I had these all sort of set out to use. Okay, So let's use this one. I like the blueberry bushel. It's a nice, vibrant blue. It's very similar to sapphire, but maybe not quite as dark. Here's some sapphire, so you can see it's not quite as dark, but it has a similar feel to it. And you guys know sapphire was my favorite. Although not as much as Vicky, because Vicky bought a whole bunch of the paper. Okay, so this card is, let's do it this way, 5.5 tall. You know, it's a typical A2 size card this way. And then 8.5. But instead of folding this in half, we're going to score it at 2 1/4, or 2 1/8, 2 1/8, and 2 1/8 on each side. I'm going to use my scoreboard, and I'll tell you why, because these are marked so I can show you. So 2 1/4, the quarter's marked, the 1/8 is that line in between. Okay? So 2 1/8, and then I'm going to flip it around and do 2 1/8. I find that I make my gatefold cards better with a scoring board. They seem to match better. And again, Stampin' Up! Paper is one-sided, one color, you know, same color on both sides. You don't have to worry about which way you fold it. But if you're using Close to My Heart paper, you fold it with the side that you want on the outside, you know, coming in like this. So this would be the side that you want to showcase. Now see how perfectly that matches up in the middle? Okay, so for this one, these papers are 2 inches. So you need 2 inches. And then it's 5 1/4. 2 inches by 5 1/4. So let's cut this 5 1/4. And then we're going to cut this into 2-inch strips. 2 inches, 2 inches, and then 2 inches. Okay, so now we are going to need one more, because these 2 are going to go in the front, and then you need 2 for the inside. Okay, so let's get the other piece. So I'm going to use this one, and I will cut it 5 1/4. And then a 2-piece. And I'm going to use this side. I don't know, let's see, let's cut this one at 2 inches, and then we'll see which one we like better. Maybe we'll put these 2 on the inside. But again, you want to keep them in order. Okay, so let's put these ones on the front. And I'm just centering them on the front. Okay. I really love this blue. Okay, and now on the inside, I'm going to put this one here. So that was this piece, so maybe I'll put this piece here. Okay, so I can use these ones on the next card. Okay, center it and make sure you're not going over the fold. Okay, and do this one. Again, centering it on this piece, on the side piece, and not going over the fold. Now you'll notice with the measurements that I gave you, since these are 2 1/4, it might be less of the blue showing on the sides than they are in the top. Okay. You could make this a little bit longer if you wanted to, but I like it like this. Okay, and then you want to put, again, a piece of cardstock in the middle. And this piece is 4 by 5 1/4. Okay. Okay, and you can put any sentiment you want inside. I found the sentiment Stop and Smell the Flowers. I don't even remember what stamp set that came from, but I thought it was perfect with this set because it's got all these flowers on it. So I thought that was cute. It says, for my beautiful friend. It might actually be from that set. I don't know. Stop and Smell the Flowers. This is an old set. It's one of my favorite sets. I use it a lot. So then you want something... you could make a belly band, you know, with a gatefold card. You can make a belly band if you want to, which just put like a 1/2-inch strip. This won't be around it, but you know, a 1/2-inch strip, and it obviously would have to be longer than this. That goes all the way around to hold it closed, and then you slide it on. But I just put one of these to make a sentiment, and I thought, cut one of those. Oh, here we go. Okay, so on this one, I Just Can't Thank You Enough, and that is from the Hills of Tuscany. I Just Can't Thank You Enough. When I made these cards, like I told you at the very beginning, this was my like test order, so I could test out Stampin' Up! If I wanted to move over. So I bought this before I was even a consultant, and I made these cards. These are the first cards that I made with the paper. So I didn't have a lot of Stampin' Up! Stamps. This is a close to my heart stamp. So, but now that I have some sentiments, I thought this was a nice sentiment. I just can't thank you enough. And so then I just adhere this right down onto the front, but you want to only put adhesive on the half. So I'm only going to put adhesive from where the points are over. Okay? Because if you put adhesive on this side, then it's going to stick and then you can't open the card up. Okay? And so since mine does have the points in the center, I'm going to kind of center it right on the fold there. I'm going to put it down a little bit because I don't want to cover up the pretty flowers. Okay. There you go. You can do things like, sometimes people put like a little something that they popped up so that this can slide under and keep it held shut, but I don't feel the need to do that right now. So I think it's fine. Okay. So this is another fun fold card. It's just a gatefold card. But what I love about it is that it really showcases this paper. Look at that. Look how beautiful this paper is. I mean, this looks like a picture. And then on the inside, it continues. Right? I just love it. You're welcome. Okay, so what did we make today? We made this gatefold card. We made these, and this one we did a vertical and horizontal. And then we did this one, which is, you know, this one. And I think all of these cards really showcase this paper. Again, this was the Meandering Meadow, but there's one in the current catalog called Thoughtful Journeys. Both of these 6x6 papers are still available. Okay. You can find these at my website, thecraftychemist.stampitup.net. Go to shop, and then you can search for Meandering Meadows, or you can search for Thoughtful Journeys, or you can follow one of the links that I dropped in the comments. Or you can just add this as a host code, 6RBYCFP2, and it will come up with me as the demonstrator. Use this host code if you're placing an order for less than $150 to be added to my June party. If you're purchasing something over $150, then you can create your own party. You don't have to do anything, but it will prompt you. It'll say, oh, you've got bonus rewards, and just you spend those right then. So it's great. If you're anywhere close to $150, you just want to get something to put you over to $150 so you don't lose out on those rewards. Okay, so if you guys make any of these cards, please show me, especially if you use something different paper so people can see that you can make these with regular two-sided paper. Like I said, if I was using regular two-sided paper, I might use one side on the top and then the reverse on the the bottom. On this one, I'd use one side on the front and then the reverse on the insides. But I just really love these papers. You know that I love these papers when, out of everything that I could have bought to test Stampin' Up! To see if I wanted to move to Stampin' Up!, that this is what I picked. I picked this and I picked the Perennial Lavender because I really loved it. Okay. Okay, next week is going to be live from England. And like I said, I thought it would be fun to look at the kit of the June kit, which is called, I think, Scenic Journey Journal. It's a travel journal, Scenic Journey Travel Journal. I thought, wouldn't that be fun to make a travel journal while I'm traveling? So that's what we're going to do next week. I'll talk about the kits, about how there's 2 kits every month, two new kits that come out every month, and then we'll look at the travel journal. It's not just a travel journal; you can use it as a mini scrapbook. So something like a brag book or something, like if you want to make one of your grandkids or something like that. So we'll talk about that next week. Okay, and then the 2 following weeks, it'll be from Scotland. And we'll have a special guest participating those last 2 weeks, making some cards and things. So, okay, thanks for joining me this week. And we did really good on time. And we got 4 cards made. Look how quick these are. When you let the paper do all of the work, you can make them really quickly. Now, granted, I did have things stamped, but that would have taken me a minute. So, okay. Talk to you guys later. See you next week.